Coyote and the Star. In time before time, animals lived interesting lives. There were no humans, and the animals were free to do as they pleased. Everything was perfect. There was no disease, no hunger, no war, and no suffering. The animals had everything they needed. Well, almost everything. Coyote enjoyed the nighttime. He would sit on a rock outside his house all night and watch the stars. Every night as he sat watching, he gazed at one particular star that was very beautiful. This large star was more beautiful than all the other stars. She was more beautiful than even the planets. She was more beautiful than the sun and the moon. Coyote was in love with the star and talked to her night after night, but she would not respond to him. She floated across the sky and pretended not to notice him. Now, Coyote was known among the other animals as a song dog. Even though his voice was rather scratchy, he loved to howl and sing his songs. He especially loved to sing when the moon was bright. So Coyote thought that if he could sing a beautiful song, the star would notice him. He thought and wrote. After 3 days, he had composed a new song. He was convinced this was the most beautiful song he could sing. That night, Coyote went outside. When the sky became dark, his stomach felt a little nervous, and his heart was beating faster than usual. He sat on a rock and waited for the star to rise above the horizon. When she did, he began to sing. And he sang again and again, hoping she would notice. But she just flew across the sky and did not utter a word. Then the other animals watched Coyote sing and felt sorry for him. No star had ever loved an animal. They knew Coyote had often been a fool, especially in matters of love. Coyote's older brother, Wolf, just shook his head and sighed. Wolf had helped Coyote out of many difficult spots. He had a feeling that his silly younger brother would get himself in trouble again. For 7 nights, Coyote sang his song and received no response. After the 7th night, he stopped singing. He was exhausted. He closed his eyes and dreamed of a ladder that elevated him to the stars. He climbed on the ladder and took his star by the hand. They danced and danced, happily to finally be together. When he awoke, he noticed that in the distance the star passed very close to a mountain. He thought that if he could climb on the top of that mountain, he could touch the star and convince her to love him. Coyote ran very fast, bumping into trees and tripping over rocks. Owl watched him run through a thicket of blackberries. Gopher stuck his head out of his hole just as Coyote stumbled over a fallen tree and tumbled down a hill. But Coyote was resilient and was determined to meet the beautiful star. Soon the star appeared on the horizon. She was brilliant and even more beautiful than Coyote had ever remembered. He could now see that all the stars were dancing. She and the other stars moved through the night sky, dancing elegant steps. Coyote didn't know how to dance very well, but he sure wanted to dance with her. So he waited patiently. He was filled with butterflies, and his heart was beating like a big drum. But he stayed quiet. The star danced closer and closer until finally she was on the mountain. Coyote reached as high as he could, but couldn't touch her. He jumped and tried again, but he still could not jump high enough. He begged her to reach her hand to his, and she did. She took his paw into her hand and pulled him up to her. Slowly she danced with Coyote up in the night sky. They went far, very high above the earth. Coyote began to get dizzy and afraid. He did not think he was afraid of heights, but this was very high. His heart pounded even harder. Coyote and the star danced farther and farther above the earth among the other stars. It was icy cold, and there wasn't a single sound. None of the other stars said anything. He begged the beautiful star to talk to him, but she was silent. Coyote looked down and saw the rivers as thin lines and the mountains as small spots. He begged the star to return him to earth. He missed the rock outside his house, and he missed the ground. When they had reached the top of the sky, the star let go of Coyote. For the time of one whole moon, 28 days, Coyote fell to the earth. He fell and thought about his life. The whole time, he promised himself he would never act foolish again. He vowed to be a good coyote from that day on, but he knew he had committed foolish acts, and he felt powerful regret. Finally, he hit the ground. The impact made a great hole where there once had been a very large mountain. The mountain he had climbed. His blood turned to water and filled the hole to become a beautiful lake. Now, when the coyotes howled at the stars, they are scolding the star that killed the first coyote. They remember him and his great love in their songs.